as a rapper, why are you not dropping frequently? Like, what is the holdback? I'm fascinated that Electronica dropped 3 7-track EPs over 4 days.
Music entrepreneurs, what's going down? We are back on the MEC podcast. Appreciate you tuning in to the podcast where we live it so we give it. And I always mess it up. What was it supposed to be? We talk it because we live it, and we live it so we give it. I think that's what it was. And shout out to the person that I think, yeah, I think I should know. Been long enough. Shout out to the person that actually came up with that slogan. Please leave a comment so I can properly credit you. Maybe you don't want credit at this point because I botched it so many times, but we still appreciate you. Thank you. Erinn, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm, first of all, I can't tell if those pictures are just like super crooked on this wall or if my camera is crooked. I don't know. It's throwing me off. I just realized that.
We'll fix it in post.
I'm doing good. I'm super grateful, but I'm just washed, But I think my body, because I've been taking care of it, is carrying me through. Cause sleep is like fundamental for me. I don't sleep a lot, but I still get consistently like 6.5 hours. That's about I'm not a big sleeper, but I get it and it's good. And then I'm good to go. But I chill a lot during the day. I observe different types of rest. But I think 2 nights ago, I just kept, which rarely ever happens, I kept trying to go to sleep. And then every hour I would just look at my phone and I'm like, damn, I'm still awake. And then it was time for me to leave. I had to be out the house by like 6:30 a.m. because I'm in Nashville for the Dove Awards. And then I had a 6:30 to 1:30 morning or day. Like we were out at events from 8 a.m. to 12:30. And then this morning, I think I went to bed at probably 3, and then I had to be up at 6:45 to do an airport run, and then long drive. And so I'm just like, I think I'm intellectually aware that I'm tired, but I actually feel all right. But my brain is moving slower. I can feel that. I'm just but I don't feel like, oh, I wish I could take a nap right now. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a long way of saying I'm good. I'm grateful. I'm chilling. How are you today?
Are we calling that a win? Because I'm the opposite, but I've also been dealing with a landscaping project here. So
you've been beating up your body.
Yeah, I feel miserable.
Dang.
Because I still actually I'll do all that and then I'll still work out and then work in the studio all day.
That's serious. Yeah, no, that's serious.
Yeah, so I wouldn't consider that a win. So let's separate what we just discussed from our wins. Share a win and motivate me a little bit.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not like a petty person because I'm pretty direct. I'm either, if I rock with you, you gonna hear it because I'm gonna encourage you, but I'm also gonna say things that I really like or rock with you about. I'm just like that. I'm like, yo, if you killing it or if I'm grateful or whatever, here's what it is. If I don't like you or don't rock with you, whatever, mum's the word. I'm not going to even waste my energy on that. You know what I'm saying? Occasionally I'll rant to a friend, really just my best friends for a second just to get it off my chest, but it's over after that. Because if I really don't rock with you, I'm not going to use my energy. I hate when people are like, I can't stand you. Clearly, they're taking up all your time. You must love them. You're obsessed. I'm not like that. You're just not going to hear it from me. So this is me being, I guess, slightly petty, but I saw a lot of people yesterday who I guess don't particularly like me. I knew I was going to run into some people who don't rock with me because of some music industry stuff. And I don't really, aside from this podcast, I'm not really in the music industry. I'm on the fringes with one client, the one who I'm with right now, but I'm not I don't work on her music industry team. I'm on her personal team. So I touch her music team, but I'm the liaison between everything. Her money manager, logistics, flights, some concert stuff, but I'm just kind of the glue that holds everything together. But it has me dabbling in the music industry because she's a Grammy Award winning artist, whatever. Super dope, incredible human. But I rock with her as a person too. So it makes this easier. So when I'm in music spaces, it's typically because I'm invited or somebody needs something from me or I'm with her. So I have a lot of access now when I go places. And I think because I dipped out and people don't really know where I went, if you don't really rock with me, you just hated on me and assumed that I disappeared. So like yesterday, I just was like, we were at an arena yesterday and I'm just walking around backstage, front stage, coming out all the sides of the stages. You know what I'm saying? Like wherever I want to be / need to be because I have that level of access. And I kept running into people from my past. And if we was cool, I was like, yo, what's up? Good to see you. Went for a hug. And it just was like, people were so quiet. So I was like, oh, damn. Y'all probably been talking shit about me behind my back. And you're probably not delighted that I look amazing right now. And I'm trying to greet you cordially and say what's up. Do you know what I'm saying? But I got a level of access. And not that I'm even flaunting that. That's because of the relationships that I have and who I'm working with and who I'm working for. But I had a lot of people yesterday kind of like, they're like, oh, hey. Or like, I would walk up and say, what's up? And then they couldn't hold a conversation or eye contact. And when folks can't hold a conversation or eye contact, I'm like, you probably been talking shit about me. Like I haven't thought about you until I saw you just now. You know what I'm saying? Because if I had, I didn't speak. Like if I'd been thinking about you or you did something to me, I'm not speaking. I'm not going to be rude, but I'm just going to act as if we don't see each other. But I spoke to a few people, more than a few. I spoke to a lot of people yesterday, and folks had a lot to say because they weren't saying anything. So my win, this is a really long way of saying my win, is that I'm living rent free in a lot of people's heads, and I'm still thriving, and I love that for me. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to my haters. Again, as the name that won't go mentioned, but I've mentioned it before. It's a man who says he takes it and uses it as alternative energy. When I tell you, this shit really be getting me hyped. Maybe that's why I'm doing good this morning, because I'm like, oh, damn. It really fucks with people that I'm doing well. And I'm not even saying I want to fuck with people, but if me doing well fucks with you, bless God.
That could be an entire episode because it is weird. It's weird when it's people that you know and that you have a history with, but you can trace it back to something. I have it with people I've never met and never will meet because of the internet. So our clip of the last podcast episode that I uploaded to my channel was one of the most contentious episodes ever. And so I'm seeing some of the weirdest comments. And I'm at the point where I don't want those people subscribing to me. It's not worth it. I don't make enough money on YouTube to even...
That's the AI episode? We just talked about the AI artist?
It's just, I think I'm torn. This isn't a win. This is a rant. I'm torn between wanting to have higher level, because I'm surrounded by people who engage with music business topics at a higher level even than myself. And so, I like it that way. I don't feel like I'm ever the smartest person in any room that I'm in. And I've honestly thrived in those situations because I had to, because it's sink or swim. Like, even when I was in college, when I was in grad school, and I'm defending research that hasn't even been done in a pretty recently established discipline within a greater field that's also emerging. Like, I'm around people who can get Noam Chomsky on the phone. That's intimidating. And so I say that to say, when I got into the music industry, I was incredibly ignorant and I had to learn fast because either you sink or you swim. And I did not want to sink. I did not want to drown. I wanted to learn how to, swim the length of this ocean if I could. And so having higher level conversations just came naturally to me. So I'm happy that I'm surrounded by people that can create that type of content with me and then challenge me, and scaffold me so I can engage with higher level information in the industry and with that more sophisticated analysis. Because when we're talking about everything that's happening in the music business. We're talking about these broad sweeping implications of global licensing deals, of technology that challenges existing copyright law. So there's a new federal update every single week that we need to address. There are multiple lawsuits happening. There are multiple deals being struck. There are all these controversies that if you don't understand the music business, you just probably won't see any deeper meaning in. And so I'm just kind of looking at some of the folks that engage with my content, and I'm like, why are you here? You know, it's like all the people that, perfect example, the Bad Bunny controversy. Oh, Bad Bunny's not even American. Why is he on the Super Bowl? Bitch.
Pause. Wait. Controversy? Is it actually a controversy?
That's a nice word of saying people are morons and they're angry because the limits of their own intellect.
I think I've been off the internet. All I saw was he announced, and then people were like, okay, like I got to learn Spanish so I can learn his songs before. And then I had somebody who said Duolingo should release a challenge, and it was like all these things. That's all
Those are positive. You're like in a very positive algorithm.
Things, but also that's my side of the internet. My side of the internet is super positive, and I've just been like, yeah, I love Bad Bunny, but I don't really know. I know the words, but I don't really be knowing what bro's saying. So I'm like, sometimes I look up the lyrics and I be like, damn, this is crazy. But I've been like challenging myself even to like practice my Spanish a little bit more and then learn his music. So I know that people are saying, how are we going to know his song? Is that the controversy that you're saying? Because even you saying he's not American is hilarious to me.
That's the controversy.
Americans are the dumbest fucks ever. Yeah. Puerto Rico? Okay, for sure. Cool, but is that the controversy? Because that's crazy.
At this point, I can't tell. You can't tell with the internet if people are actually that stupid, because people are that stupid. They will say a statement like, why is someone who's not American? And then we've had plenty non-Americans perform at the Super Bowl before, and there was never a peep from the white nationalists. Now there's a problem because colonizers hate the colonized for being colonized by them. It's the weirdest phenomenon. So I don't want to get into the political rabbit hole of that. I'm just saying. Strange.
Because I feel like Shakira has performed. She's Colombian.
Rihanna.
Which is like literally the same thing because it's in Spanish. Yeah, Rihanna's from Barbados.
Paul McCartney.
Arguably, to me, had one of the best Super Bowl performances ever. It was simple. And she killed it. I loved Rihanna's, but I'm a huge Rihanna stan. I'm confused. There's a lot of people. I feel like, who else? I'm trying to think, but I feel like it's been mostly Latin artists who did it too.
It was a lot of like the ones who were British artists. Lots of British artists.
Oh, of course. You're so
exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, you're so right. It's been tons of British artists. Yeah. I'm not gonna say anything in an effort to not.
No, I know where you're going. You don't have to, but it's that phenomenon that I'm seeing where I'm like, I with the internet I can't tell anymore. I can't tell because there are a lot of people. I mean, we've been dumbed down for decades and decades and decades by design, and now we are seeing those chickens coming home to roost, and it's benefiting someone. It's not helping me out being surrounded by people that really just can't put one foot in front of the other some days. But I don't know. A lot of it is just weaponized stupidity, or it's rage baiting, and I just can't tell anymore. And I'm sick of it, and I don't want that energy around me.
I also think too, and then like clearly, I'm biased because I just live in my own world, like in my silo. But I personally believe, because I was going to make a statement and say that I don't think the vast majority of the world is stupid. So it's just them pushing that. But then I started thinking about it and I'm like, the world would not be where we were if the vast majority of the world wasn't stupid, or at least just lazy about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're either stupid or lazy. But I do believe that we get, well, I won't say we because I don't experience this often, but most people get a higher peak of the stupid comments, the dumbass reactions, the illogical things in their feed because it is rage baiting. And rage bait, not, they may not be rage baiting, but like the algorithms are, because if you're like enraged, you're dysregulated, and the way that you try to find regulation is to parse it out. So it creates more engagement because this is like literally a process, of
Yeah.
like somatics. Like I do a lot of somatic stuff with my therapist. So it's like you're trying to parse it out because you want resolve. So you go to the source of the frustration or what you think is the source of the frustration. And you're like, you're dumb as hell, da 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 da. And you start arguing with the person. Now Meta has you on their platform for an average of 3.5 hours a day versus you just getting on, checking, liking your friends, whatever,
Oh no, that's
for an
absolutely
hour.
true. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So like people always try to, when I say things like this, I'm like, oh, they want people dysregulated. They're like, who is the they? This is a conspiracy. You're such a woo woo because you want to go to therapy. Like I have even friends sometimes say this and I'm like,
Therapy
pause,
is a
just listen.
conspiracy.
Well, not that, just because it's such a instinctual part of the way
It's
that
so
I
new
function in the
age and
world.
Eastern to go to an American therapist.
Well, I mean, not even just that. I'm a little bit like I don't believe that you should work for like my work life balance is like I just think work is a part of life. It is not life, and
Yeah,
everybody
no, I
has work.
agree.
You know what I'm saying? So like even the way that I function in my world, that's why my friends, I won't even say my friends, people who are familiar with me who don't understand me will sometimes call me woo woo, which I don't think I am. But I think that dysregulation, people don't realize that is like tactical because it's good for marketing. Marketing is meant to make you feel something. If you feel something, you react.
Yeah.
If you react, you're more likely to spend money or time on something that you would never even notice before. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like rage is one of the most triggering effects because it'll cause you, to go into the things that you habitually do, whatever. I'm not trying to break down the psychology of marketing. I work in marketing. I consult in marketing. I do a lot of this. So whether you believe me or not, I do think it's extremely intentional that you see a lot more stupidity. I will say I'm the type that I just don't engage with it. I'm not really on the internet like that. And most of my feed is babies, black couples, food reviews, streetwear clothing. Like I consistently, even this weekend, people were like, oh, you didn't hear about this, or you didn't hear about this. Your mind would be blown the amount of things in this world that I'm oblivious to. Do you know what I'm saying? Just like, because I'm like, what is the point? Like I'm outside in the real world. And if everything that I do comes from the internet, like the information, I would just be frustrated and dysregulated all the time. And one of the benefits I bring to the world is how regulated I am.
Well, and I always thought this. So then bringing it back to the Super Bowl performance, because I don't want to talk about my YouTube comments anymore, but bringing it back to the Super Bowl performance, this is probably rage baiting too, because the Super Bowl is one of the biggest money making opportunities in media. And there are no mistakes being made at that level, right? So Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, that was controversial. And it became the most watched in history because some people loved it, a lot of people hated it. And as you said, the goal is to make people feel something, whether it's one side of the spectrum or the other, because they both benefit whoever is able to monetize those emotional reactions. And so I think a ton of people are going to be hate watching the Super Bowl. Well, a lot of people who would have never watched the Super Bowl to begin with are going to be tuning in because Bad Bunny's there. So, yeah, it's brilliant because the morons get to fight among themselves and someone makes a killing off the ad revenue. So here we are. But I would say my win is extension of another one that I had, but I've been reaching out to a lot more artists lately to work and getting responses, which has surprised me. But I remember one comment stood out. It was a rapper who, like 18-year-old me, would not stop listening to. And I reached out to him and sent him some tracks. And his response was, I've never heard a beat of yours I didn't like. So that felt good. And you know it,
That's a huge compliment.
and it's somebody that I've toured with. So my life is just surreal all the time. I don't always appreciate it being just kind of isolated here doing this stuff and you know working with the people I work with. But yeah, a lot of it has become normal stuff that would have been the coolest thing in the world to me 25 years ago is now normalized. Where I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah, that's my life. But it's fun.
No, for sure. That's super tight. I mean, this episode isn't going to air till Monday, so I can say this. But last night I was in the room with some of like the OG heroes that I really rock with. Like like Fred Hammond is my favorite gospel artist, and he performed a medley of all of his classics from from like all of the 2000s last night with a group called Choir Room, which is like a Nashville based like community choir, and several of my friends are in it. So that was super tight to see. And then I met Vince Gill last night because Vince Gill performed, and I'm a huge Vince Gill fan, like his voice, but just him as a person. I feel like he's one of those old country dudes that you can rely on to be a solid human being and like what America thinks it is versus like what it actually is. I hope Vince Gill, please don't be problematic, but the person who introduced me to him, who has known him for years, is somebody that I really, really, really reverence as a predecessor in this industry. But Vince Gill performed with Lady A, who used to go by Lady Antebellum, which is a country group. I've been listening to Lady A since I don't listen to much of their stuff now. When they changed their name and, you know, like they all started having kids, they slowed down on the music. It's more like family music. I'm not saying it wasn't before, but it was like a lot of like really well written love songs. And they performed Need You Now with Vince Gill last night acoustically. That was, I got to see Fred Hammond, Vince Gill, and Lady Antebellum.
I was just going to ask you, why were they all three in the
What?
same room? Because
Yeah,
that's
it was super
interesting.
wild because Jelly Roll was there also. This is the music
That
industry
makes
now.
sense.
Right.
Jelly rolls everywhere.
It was the Dove Awards, but which
Oh,
is
okay. Yeah,
it's
Dove.
like I think it's Christian, what is CCM, Contemporary Christian Music Awards essentially. But you know, country really overlaps with CCM. A lot of country stars may not be making like Christian music, but they like believe, you know, like in the Christian faith or whatever, or they're just like reverent of it. And Nashville very much is like a huge part of the Nashville music industry is the Christian scene. So even at the CMA Fest, you're always going to see like Christian artists, but they had it at Bridgestone Arena last night, which is massive. And it was like almost sold out, which was crazy. I thought it was going to be mostly full. It was crazy. But yeah, it was just an eclectic group because the Dove Awards have gotten backlash for not being like diverse, literally for like over a decade. I've never gone because I've been in revolt, but my artist is a black woman my client is a black woman and is just killing it on both sides. And they're, you know, trying to incorporate, because typically they'll have like a rapper, a gospel artist, but now a lot of people are starting to get nominated and they're collaborating. They had this moment where they had like all the Latin all-stars of Christian music from like decades ago come together with like Israel Houghton and like Adrian Bailon. So it was like I got Cheetah Girls and OG Christian music and like country music. I found out Carrie Underwood was there last night and I was so pissed because I had made a joke the day before. I was like, I'm just here to see Carrie Underwood. And I was like, maybe she'll be here. Then I found out she was sitting next to one of my friends and I almost cried because I really want to be here. I love Carrie Underwood, but that's my rant. I felt like I'm just aligning with what you're saying. Like my everyday life, like I literally was just like at Bridgestone Arena with full access, just kind of walking around doing my thing. I don't even really work in the music industry anymore. And I'm just kind of like moving around. John Batiste played last night with Jelly Roll. That's what like, it was crazy. Like the amount of stars that they had at this show. Respectfully, the actual experience was somewhat lackluster because I think they needed more creative people to direct the performances. But sonically, the people that I really liked were super duper on point, and it was a super huge occasion. So shout out to the Dove Awards and Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah, I've been trying to reconcile, but I guess you know with the addition of Jelly Roll there. I don't know. Anything can be Christian music nowadays, I guess. So like Vince Gill, but yeah, I mean that
I'm
makes
gonna be
sense.
honest. You just roll one of your songs, take out the curse words, roll it into a hymn, and then roll it back out. And is I'm not even trying to disrespect Christian music. I don't want to even play because I do think that there are people who make like explicitly Christian music. But I will say, especially if you are on the gospel side, it's a lot harder. But if you're on the white side of Christian music, as long as it's not too R&B or really, honestly, as long as it's not too black, if it's clean and you say it's Christian, they're like, come on over here. Like with Jelly Roll, respectfully, I don't know bro's beliefs. I think he may be a Christian because the way he was talking on stage last night when he won his award. But I think that it's like, yeah, the Christian scene is ready to embrace. And I think that's actually cool. Like it seems like they're trying to grow as a genre, but super ready to embrace anybody with any type of celebrity who's making adjacent music, I'd say.
Yeah, I was just thinking, wait, the Eagles isn't considered Christian music now, right?
Hey, the
But he
Eagles
didn't
could be.
write those songs, so it is
I
what
love
it
the
is.
Eagles. Shout out to the Eagles. They're not
Well,
racist, are they?
I wasn't gonna. I don't know. I don't think
Okay.
so. They might. Everyone's problematic. All my heroes are dead to me at this point. But I'm a much big. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I'm a bigger fan of. Oh God, what's the guy
Overt
that?
racism versus covert racism? Is
Well,
that what
that
you're about
too,
to
but
say?
that's not what I was
'Cause
gonna
that's me.
say.
Just let me know. If you racist, just let me know so I can avoid you. But don't be trying to be subverted with the racism because then I'm sitting here fanning out over you and you actually an asshole.
What I was gonna say is I'm a bigger fan of Don Henley's solo work, but that's it took a different direction.
Yeah, that's like me with Sting, but I won't go there.
Yeah, don't get me started on Sting because I said something about Sting in a video and got attacked for that. But I'm like, it's true. He did make that song and then said what he said about that song. So
Yikes.
what should we start with? We haven't actually gotten into the heart of the podcast episode.
We can start with your topic.
Well, let's just jump right into the controversy then, because you've this was supposed to be a short topic, and Dame is unwell right now, so he can't engage with it. But you've mentioned this before, Erinn, when we were going to have the whole dating series with you, because there are still dudes in my
This is
comments.
wild. I did not know you were going to talk about this, and I had an in-depth conversation with my best friend about this like 2 days ago.
Perfect. Well, this is why I'm bringing it up with you. Yeah, because there are still dudes in the comments talking about, who's the girl on the podcast? Oh, her skin is so beautiful, all this stuff. And I'm just like, but you're on my channel. Go to the MEC channel and say that because she probably hasn't even seen this. But then the other thing is too, I'm like, Erinn explicitly said she doesn't date in the music industry, so this is a perfect topic. I just happened upon this, and I don't think it's if it's rage bait, I don't know. It's like tasteful rage bait. But this is she looked like a young woman. I don't know where she's from. This just came across my threads feed, and it enraged a lot of people. As you can see, the ratio of likes to comments, you can imagine what those comments were. But I know you said you wouldn't date in the music industry, and she said men who do music are a huge turnoff. If he has ambitions to be famous or in the industry, it's an automatic pass. And to me, this is, it's almost a joke at this point with the male loneliness epidemic and women wanting men over 6'5" or whatever. Like that's kind of a joke, and I think whatever. But honestly, none of that stuff affects me ever. Even when I was on the dating scene, it didn't affect me because I didn't care. But I feel like this is, I'm just going to say it, this is more valid. I mean, you can see my reply. I'm not fighting this narrative. I understand it. A lot of the comments were like, oh, so she don't want a man with ambition and this and that. And I'm like, I understand why. If you have, if people are like, oh, I bet she'd date a lawyer. Yeah, because that's a very clear path. I understand that. There are people who going through medical school is incredibly stressful, right? like I can't imagine. Like I can, because my girlfriend works her ass off and she's not in the medical profession, and I whatever. If your partner is in a field where they're working all the time, at least if someone's in med school, they're doing clinicals. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's clear when that light is coming. And I'm not saying relationships have not exploded during that time. I'm sure they have. I'm sure if you're with someone that's doing clinicals and is in a high stress environment and they come home and you barely even talk to them because they're just upset at something, they're being worked to death, whatever, they just become awful partners. So at least you can leave. A lot of people leave, but some people say, okay, cool, it's only 2 more years and then things will stabilize. You can't really say that with creative industries, certainly not music. So I understand. I'm not saying I'm applauding. I'm just saying I'm neutral. That's her preference, and I can see why it's valid. And again, I don't think anyone should argue away someone's dating preferences because they just are what they are. Like, let them be. They're not for you. But I don't know. This strikes a chord because a lot of us in the music business get insulted by this because we're working hard. Like, I don't know. What are your opinions, Erinn? Because you've seen multiple sides of this particular argument.
I think arguing with preferences is so funny to me. That's like when people argue with gay people. I'm like, what do you, you think this is going to make them now want to align with your ideology even more as if it's an idea? Like, what? I don't know. Super weird. I do want to preface this by saying, in reflecting, my last, I think 3 relationships have been with artists or producers or men in the music industry. So like, it's not even, it's funny because I'll say this and then I'll end up like the last guy I dated. Well, maybe because I don't know. Anyways, I'll stop there because I try not to talk about my personal life. I talk
No,
about my
but that's also
professional
why
life,
it's silly to get mad at that. Because, it'll be like you'll see all the time. If you're friends with enough people who inevitably end up single, you're going to see their dumbass social media posts where like, my next man's going to have, or I have such high standards, and you're already laughing. And then you're like, oh, let me finish the post. Cause your last man, you got out, you started dating him the 3rd day he was out of prison, but okay. And then she'll, say something like, well, my next man's got to make 6 figures and be educated and this and that. And then she ends
I
up.
literally don't know anybody say. I always feel like I see quotes about that. Like people were like, women, I don't see any of that ever.
Men do it too. Men, oh my God. And then the men I'm around, my bitch got to look like this. And I'm like,
Interesting. I really
you
just got
right
outside on
now.
the internet.
Yeah, you have a kid with a Muppet, dude. What are you talking about? Like, and you're living off
Okay.
her.
Facts, I will say.
So
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't mean anything. People are just talking, but sorry.
No, so
That's
I
what I'm
will
like.
say my preference is to not date an artist, right? It just doesn't make sense. I won't say full on music industry, but I don't even when I was in the industry a lot more full time, I didn't like having friends in the industry. Like if I met you and we got cool and we happen to work in the music industry, cool. But like if you're in the music industry and we're kicking it, I'm not gonna consider you a friend because I'm just gonna assume some fugazi may go down eventually, or it could get competitive. I'm extremely competitive, but not when it comes to like work because we're not playing the same game. Like if we're playing spades or you want to, you know, play some sort of other game, sure. You want to go bowling, extremely competitive. We're not competing in the industry though. So I still have that preference though because I feel like artists, especially if you are mildly successful, and I don't mean this as a shot to anybody, this isn't directed at anybody. If anybody that I've previously dated or talked to is hearing this, just know this is not specifically about anybody. It's just my experience in general as a woman in this industry. If you are mildly or moderately successful, meaning that you can make enough to sustain yourself even 6 months out of the year, you will go through repossession, homelessness, all these things in the name of the struggle because you've seen a glimmer of hope that you could make it. I think it's extremely valiant, but I'm not signing up for that. I don't want that. I'm not looking for that. I would much rather be with a guy who's like, I will kill myself in a 9 to 5 because I still see that same glimmer of hope and I want to invest in my music. And there are way less men in my experience who will do the job thing even when they're seeing success than to invest. You know what I'm saying? And you see it all that we've talked about it. We've talked about several people, Nick D, and we've had some other ones on here. There's a line through that all of them have that's similar, which makes it easier for them to function in that way. But I would say that most people don't think that way. I also have experienced that the great thing about the male species, human male species, I think, is that y'all can really lock in and focus on something. And it's just like, this is it, right? To be in my 30s and to have a man who's just like, this is it, but it's about something as fickle as the music industry doesn't give me a level of comfort that I enjoy. Like my best friend, she's like, I will not date a burgeoning entrepreneur. She's kind of like, I won't date an entrepreneur in general because she's like, you could make $1 million one year and be sued to smithereens the next year, and we could be broken. I'm adjusted to a certain lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So she's just like, I'm not into that. I personally am not into many creative endeavors. I really like men with stable. I like get grass cutters. I was talking to a guy who owned like a grass cutting company. You know what I'm saying? Like he started out with one mower and then 3 years later he was love that because I know he's only going to work Monday afternoon through Saturday afternoon. If I'm coming back, he's at the house. Roofers, mechanics, give me some sort of skill set that's beneficial to my everyday life where
Roofing
you're
is
not going to
dangerous.
be competing, where we're going to miss each other, but we're not both like traveling. That's just my personal preference. I don't like, and that's another hard thing, like dating a producer. I dated this one producer who lived in California, and it was like, he would fly me out. We would see each other. He would fly out to my tour dates, but it was just like, coordinating schedules was so hard because I wasn't a priority yet. I didn't want to be, like we were still figuring it out. We were dating, but it's just like, how do you know if you're serious with somebody if you're always trying to be like, oh, well, I have this tour. So for me personally, I don't like it. And then
Yeah.
in addition to the things that you commented, like, I think there's a level of immaturity that people chasing creative paths almost have to have. And I won't even,
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe it's not immaturity, but you have to have this kind of like childish glee. And I'm
Yeah.
saying this for myself because I've had this, like, even the way that my life is set up. I was talking to my best friend about this again the other day. I'm taken care of by like an army of people. I'm technically homeless right now because I don't have a new lease in Austin, but like I have houses that I live between in Atlanta and Austin right now because people take care of me, so to speak. Like I contribute. I'm not saying that I'm just like this, like, I'm not sleeping on couches by any means. I'm just too old for things like that. I live a really, really nice existence. Everywhere I go and stay is really beautiful. But even that, in my nomadic life, I'm living like a 5-star living. That's not something that most people chasing something can get to until they're chasing for so long that they're successful. I don't want to merge that with bringing another person who's chasing into this. And I'm not saying you can't chase. It's just not for me. And I think that gleefulness is something that has allowed me to become who I am, but I'm not interested in I need a counterpart who's like, this is what we gonna do. We gonna make this happen. And yeah, so that's a really long way of saying, I'm not hating on y'all. I think creatives are super dope. I think if you're a creative who can function in the AB, because I tend to be more AB personality. I can get business stuff done, but I do have that gleefulness. I think that it's just not something for me to be matched with, especially because I'm used to a certain lifestyle at this point. Like if you want to frolic and play, your frolicking and playing has to be in the multiple 6 figures. And that's not me being like, I need a man who's 6 foot. I'm just saying, like, if you want to lightly match my energy, like, I'm not even trying to expose my pockets, but if you want to lightly, I'm not trying to say like I just make so much money, but like I don't really spend as much time as most people working, and I make a pretty good living. If I were to double down on what I do, I will probably make a lot more, but I like the glee. I like the wonder. I like the mystery. So when I get married, I want to have a lot more stability when it comes to my lifestyle. And that requires me not to be matched with a man who's still on the chase because he wants to live out his childhood dreams. And I'm not shitting on anybody who wants to do that. Shout out to y'all. There's a lot of good women who are super stable and can keep that in order. It's just not for me.
And that's the irony, because a lot of people who, like I know a lot of creatives that are dating the opposite or are married to the opposite. And because that other person makes a lot of money and has this ability to create stable environments amid the chaos of another partner. But I think, man, how is that sustainable? Because for a lot of us, it becomes a stable job. Like, it's become a stable job for me over the last decade, but there's still a ton of chaos and uncertainty and pivoting. And every week I'm like, man, I got to find another job. I got to do this. I got to find
every week I think about getting a job. Every week.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, I don't even really share that, because I would drive my loved ones crazy if I was constantly talking about my emotions with them. Like, I have to find other outlets for that. But I think 15 years ago, when I have a plaque on the wall and not enough money to, buy my own house or car or anything, and I have this idea in my head. I'm like, this is my goal. I just don't know when it's going to happen. How do you communicate that to a partner when someone, like a lot of women that I would date in my 20s were putting marital pressure on me and this and that. And I'm like, I'm trying to get a placement. I'm trying to get a hit single. I'm making these beats. What are you talking? And reflecting back on that, I sounded like a kid because they all had careers. They had these stable positions with health insurance. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to find the right snare. But I understand that I had my goals. It wasn't that I was being rejected per se. It was that it was causing problems within a potential partnership. And there were other factors at work, don't get me wrong. But, one of the most common causes of divorce is still financial disagreements. And so me being unstable financially is going to cause financial disagreements. And then I wonder about the people that, they end up dating long-term or married, and they're both musicians, or there was a woman producer. How do I remember? My memory is crazy, but this was like years ago. I just read a tweet. I want to say her name is Mo, and she was probably thirst trapping or engagement baiting, but she said, I want to date another producer. Like, yo, what? Why do you want to put yourself through that and put another person through that
quickly?
You what?
She's trying to get them platinum beats quickly.
Yeah, but then I wonder, but would you date a producer whose beats are not good yet, or whose career hasn't taken off yet? Or are you trying
there's definitely stipulations there.
Yeah, like you're trying to date Southside. Like, who are you? What's the dating pool for you on produce? But I think some people also romanticize a creative partnership too, where they're like, I would love to, like a lot of producers, I want to date a singer. Do you really? Because I've dated singers before, and you think it's cute at first, and then you're like, damn, I'm just trying to relax in quiet with you and watch some brain rot TV or something. I don't need to be working on songs right now, because I only have 4 hours of the day where I'm not working on songs already. And now here you are, you want to, and then there's the whole
thing for me. I don't want to be working. I don't want to be thinking about work at all. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest, that was one of the things right when the previous, not the last, but the previous guys I was dating, it started kind of fizzling out. I won't say it wasn't it started fizzling out because I felt like every conversation, there were other things, but I just started feeling like every conversation kind of started going to what he was doing musically. And I just really didn't have much to say because I'm not going to do this. Like, I'm not, first of all, it was right when I was kind of transitioning out of the music industry. But two, it's just like, even if I was fully in the music industry, I don't want to talk about work. I don't want to help you. And that's when I was like, yeah, I can't date an artist. That's when I became like so staunch in that stance. Cause I'm like, I don't want to have to turn my brain on to help you. Most people are like, well, don't you want to help your partner? Yes, not do music. Please, like, start another business. Do what I want to help you grow, whatever. But if you make music and I have to pretend to like it and then give you advice on it, I'm good. I just don't want to be stuck in that world. And I think too, to the point you were saying, like, it broke up with your relationships, but it's the reason you are who you are today, and the reason that like you were successful. Even with me, I didn't really start seriously dating until I was like 28, 29. Like, that's just a handful, like a few years ago,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
So
I
it's
feel
like,
that.
because I was like, I would be on the road like 10 out of the 12 months. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I had my stuff in storage for so many years. My parents' address still now is my main address because I move around so much. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I was living overseas, and then because I was just chasing, and there was
No,
this
but
like
you know what
youthful
though? You
ignorance
deserve
where I was like,
credit for
I'm
that.
gonna make it, and I
Yeah.
just didn't have space for that. Like, I would date, but it was never anything serious.
No, but you deserve credit for that because you were aware that you weren't in a position to foster a stable long-term relationship, even if it was subconscious. I think a lot of it for me was subconscious because I was
Yeah.
a stupid 20-something-year-old where I'm like, of course I'm mature enough for anything life throws my way. And then a girlfriend starts talking about living together or marriage, and I'm like, wait a minute, here are the reasons why we shouldn't do that. And then that would be kind of the end of the relationship. But it's like a lot of people don't have those realistic views of themselves where they're like, I'm ready for whatever. Let's have a kid. Let's get, and it's like, you don't have a dollar to your name. And here you are just freely busting nuts all over the goddamn globe. And now look at you, your whole family's fucked up and you're in a situation that you yourself didn't even want to be in. So I give credit to people who are aware of their own problematic, and I don't mean problematic in a, well, it's all bad. Like it would have been problematic for me to get married at 25. That would have been really unwise.
Yeah.
Just as it would have
I'm
been
like not
problematic.
even the same person that I was then.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, shout out to my parents, but like, my parents started having kids in their like late 30s and early 40s, right? My parents got married mid 30s.
Mm.
But and they gave, like, I had a very stable home environment. My parents are still together. I got put through private school in elementary, went to really good public schools in the back part of middle school and high school. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't pay for my college. I got scholarships, went for a little bit, and then was like, I'm out. This isn't for me, to their very big disappointment, because my parents grew up, both of them, very poor, right? They both have 7 siblings apiece. So, but like, seeing my aunts and uncles who had kids way earlier than them, like I have a cousin who has grandkids who are as old as me. Do you know what I'm saying? Because her mom started having kids so young, and then she started having kids so young. And I look at the type of problems and the lifestyle that they're not able to live, the type of like health journeys they're on. Like, I got to be super selfish in my 20s, even though I was hella freaking broke, like dumb broke. I got to be super selfish because I didn't have all these other responsibilities, like children relationship, providing for this. I didn't own anything. So it was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a cell phone repossessed. That's how broke I was in my early 20s. Like, they took my phone back, but it was just like, I just was out here frolicking. So I think like people don't count the cost. And then there's this level of envy. And, even when it's like chasing your dream, they're like, well, you don't understand the real world. I'm like, I understand it a lot more than you probably did. You jumped into what society showed you should do instead of really thinking about who you want to be as a person. But that's why I think even for me, as a 30-something-year-old woman, I can say I don't want to date a guy in the industry. And it doesn't bother me that you want to try to convince me, because I'm like, I see what it takes to live that way. I also don't like men who need attention. I don't know what it is on like the male to female dynamic. I do need attention. I need attention from my partner, but I don't need attention from other people. And I want to give my partner attention. But men who need attention, which is another reason I can't date an artist. Like your whole
We
goal is
need
to
attention.
gain what? Oh,
We need.
absolutely
That's
not.
why I'm laughing, because
What?
10 years ago I would have been like, no, that's not me, and now I'm like, I got to be honest.
Yeah, and it's like it's not even like a character flaw. I'm not even painting it as that. It just energetically does not align with me being with a man who needs attention. And so it's like whether it's occupationally or subconsciously or emotionally, if you need, not want, need attention, it just doesn't work for me.
And then, so we'll close this out because we got to get to your topic. But preferences change. I think we've all had preferences change. And, I'm saying I wouldn't want to date a singer or whatever. I dated a rapper once, and I mean, it didn't end well. She was like a little NBA young boy, like Juice World. But
I'm so surprised you've dated a rapper. I've dated artists, but I've never dated a rapper. That's actually where I draw the line. The moment actually, I just lied. No, never mind. I've dated a rapper. It wasn't his occupation though. He had a really good job and he was sane. But I typically
same.
Oh, okay. So that's
no.
okay, that makes sense.
She wasn't a full-time rap. It was just that I was like, oh, she did rap. She had songs, and it was very.
I think that's okay. If you like to make music, I'm super down with that. Yeah. Make your music. Just know I'm not required to like it. We're not going to talk about strategy, and you have to have a real job.
No, we didn't do that, and I would have preferred that because she was just a little too terrifying. But what was your topic?
Her music now. I want to hear her music.
I don't even know if I could find it. You would have. I know I'm blocked on everything. It was that type of relationship where I would. It was like It was like a Moneybagg Yo song about relationships where I would wake up certain days. I'm like, oh, I'm blocked today. And then
how do you live in that? People who live those worlds, I'm not judging you, but you seem like such a calm human. How do you live in a world? I don't do arguments. We can get, sometimes you get a little heated, but I'm a very let's have a conversation or let's go away and then come back. Let's get a mediator. Let's go to therapy. I'm not arguing. That's do you get ended. Blocked? Okay, just forget me altogether. If you block me one day, just don't ever come back.
No, that's why it ended. And to be clear, it lasted a matter of, and when I say months, you could count it in weeks and it would still be
hurt.
You know what I mean? So, but
you didn't see that coming before y'all started dating, or was it kind of like oh, hey, I like you, and then you just jump into it?
No, because people market themselves in a certain way during that first month.
That's so true. Yeah.
And it's like anything. It's like you're damn near an advertisement for yourself. So it's like all those shiny toys at the toy store where they're like, this is, you see the commercial and you're like, wow, that thing shoots lasers. And then when you look at it, it's just a flashlight. And that's how a lot of people are. They're like, I'm a stable person. I value communication. And then one day you wake up.
Good analogy.
Yeah. And you wake up and you're blocked and you're like, communication? Or you don't hear from someone for a week, or you date people that are like, I don't use drugs, and they're drunk on their first date. And you're like, wait a minute. So a lot of people have marketing problems. They need to hire Erinn.
My thing is, if you market that well, because that's actually good marketing. They caught you for, they got their hook in. I feel like if you market that well for dating, you should be able to market your music well at that point. You know what I'm saying? It's like the same psychology.
Okay, so speaking of which, your topic.
I've been listening to Starline, Chance's new album. I'd say the last 2 to 3 weeks. I know it came out maybe a month and a half ago. I think it came out in August. And I'm an OG Chance the Rapper fan. I really liked him. And then I fell out with him because I felt like he was weird. This is before. I feel like when 3 came out, he got so big so fast. Shout out to him. That I felt like he got super weird and I started getting weird feelings about him. I had some really random hot takes about him that I was super wrong about, but I had some conspiracy theories about Chance the Rapper for sure. But I was really into him for a long time, then was not into him at all. And then he dropped the trash album that everybody hated. And then he started following the MEC. And I was like, let me see what this guy got going on. And it seemed like he wasn't
Oh yeah,
really
we were
dropping
trying to get
music.
him on an episode and he didn't respond.
Oh, really? He responds to some of my DMs, so maybe I could ask him to come back on, especially with like Starline. But he started following the MEC, what, like 4 or 5 years ago, I think? And
Yeah,
that was
Dame was on
like,
it.
yeah. So it was, I was like, I started checking him out again after he started following the MEC. Actually, he was already following the MEC. He started following me because I joined the MEC. That's what it was. And he was like commenting on some stuff, like showing love. I think he reposted a handful of our videos. So I was like, let me check him out. Let me see what he's on. He seems like a decent dude. If he's, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not like a fun, hot topic. We talking about business. So I don't know. I guess like watching him the last like 3 years as he's been going overseas to the continent, and like I think he was doing a lot of stuff in Ghana. I feel like he went to a couple other places, but I know he was like really heavily focused on Ghana. So I didn't know how this album was going to turn out, but I will say he's been dropping singles on socials. He was dropping them, but on socials he was doing all these like visual landscaping things, like art projects, and I was like, man, I think Chance is not only back, but like in a really healthy, incredible era as an artist. As a long way of saying, I didn't jump straight into Starline because I was a little nervous that it would maybe trash, and it's actually super incredible. And this song I got into, I'm kind of a slow burn with projects. I just like a song and I'll keep listening and I'll listen to more. But I got into this song called Just a Drop. It's the second to last song on the album and it's featuring Jay Electronica. And up until today, I have felt the same way about Jay Electronica that I feel about J. Cole. I think J. Cole has the best features in the world. I hate his albums. Like, I am not a J. Cole fan. Not a J. Cole album fan. It's just like, I don't think he makes songs. I think he's a lyricist, but I don't really like his songs. He'll have a couple of singles, but put him on a Kanye track, put him on a Jid track, put him with Earth Gang, put him with Mariba. I'm like, oh my God, you put him with Future. Amazing. You know what I'm saying? Him by himself, don't like it. So Jay Electronica is like, oh, Kanye, Chance the Rapper, whatever, features, love it. But I've been listening to Just a Drop so much in the last really like 48 hours. Today I was like, let me just go see if I would ever get into Jay Electronica because I've tried and it just wasn't for me. So come to find out, and this is at like 7:30 a.m. I don't listen to hip hop that early. I don't even really listen to hip hop like that. Come to find out, Jay Electronica has dropped 3 EPs so it was 2 weeks ago, he dropped 3 EPs in 4 days. Like 30, 35 minutes a piece. It follows a storyline. And I was listening to the first song on the last track as I was pulling up to the house today to come podcast. And he basically was saying a magician isn't really a magician until you can bring it back. Like, obviously, like, anybody can make something disappear, but bringing it back is called the prestige. And I was like, this is actually an intellectual as fuck album, right? Like, just even that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that movie, The Prestige. So then I was like, what is he like equating himself to? So it made me really want to go on this journey with our projects. And I feel like this last project, because I started with the third one, is almost like a series of interludes, which is really interesting to me because they're very sonically incredible. And I think the reason I've never liked Jay Electronica is because I
That's
just feel
kind
like
of his thing.
he's just talking on a track. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Which is
Yeah,
cool.
like
But I'm
it's
not
all
just,
interludes almost.
yeah. But okay, maybe I didn't get that before. Maybe that's okay. I never really liked him because I just felt like he was like a spoken word artist that's somewhat rhythmic. But I feel like when he gets on Kanye tracks, because of the Kanye's production or the production he's creating around him, it makes him sound more like a rapper. And then even Chance's record, Just to Drop, y'all got to listen to it because it's such a like, there's so much space for Jay to do his thing. And then Chance kind of mirrors what he's looking for in his first verse. It's super cool. It's what made me be like, so all of these interludes are so interesting that it gave me context for the way that Jay Electronica raps / talks. And I'm like, this man is really just a preacher over music. And I feel like I just have more aptitude for stuff like that right now. So first thing I want to say is shout out to Jay Electronica. I'm coming around to you. I think you're really dope. Shout out. I know people are going to be like, oh, you're super late. He's a genius. For sure. I know. It just hasn't been for me, but shout out to Jay. 2, I just want to know, why did he drop 3 EPs in 4 days. Do you know what I'm saying? Like for somebody to be as storied and successful as him. I love that he's still dropping music. Like I said, I loved when the clips dropped. I think the whole narrative that hip hop is getting older, you got to age out of hip hop is super weird. I think when you're weird and still trying to be 19, 25, even 30 in hip hop, it's weird. But if you're being a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, even soon to be 60-year-olds with some people, I super rock with that. But Jay Electronica's project is fire. He's got a huge, I guess he wanted to tell this story and he wanted to tell it fast and didn't want people to wait. But it makes me wonder, I was thinking about this last night and then so praise God this all flowed together because this thought just came to me. It blows my mind that it takes rappers so long to put out music, especially when you just have to rap over a beat. And I'm not trying to diminish the value of what rappers do. But I saw a video on Instagram yesterday and the guy said the difference between you and most successful people is speed, right? Which is true. Like a lot of people are like their output is crazy. I actually move very, 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 very slowly through the world. But because I have my hand on so many things, it makes me look super successful because it's like every day I'm posting about something new is happening, accolade, new project, new event, whatever. And it's just because I have my hands on a lot of things. I think about like billionaires, millionaires, a lot of super successful people, they move really swiftly because they have the resources to be able to throw stuff out. As a rapper, why are you not dropping frequently? Like, what is the holdback? You know what I'm saying? And that's just kind of like, I don't have an answer. My only thought is that I'm fascinated that Jay Electronica dropped 3 7-track EPs over 4 days, like 2 weeks ago. And I'm wondering why more artists don't do that. And I'm not just saying just throw a bunch of dumb stuff at
Well,
the
why
market.
doesn't Jay Electronica do that? Because we've been waiting for 5 damn years since the last drop.
That's true. But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense to me because even when I looked, I was like, oh, 2020, huh? And he had, I guess, maybe 2 songs in 2024, but it's really been like the Donda track. What is it? Jesus King, the one he was on, or, Jesus Lord, where like Larry Hoover Jr. is on there. And then there's another track I think he did with Kanye and then this Chance the Rapper track, which is what I guess fed me long enough to be like, damn, maybe I like Jay Electronica. But I don't know. It's just such an interesting thing. Like, what is timing about? What is the amount of songs about? What makes people interested? And then why are you, as a rapper who really just has to whip out your mic and throw some shit into an AI mixer to put out a song, and I'm not even saying you don't have to release it on DSPs, just put it out on Instagram. Why are you not releasing music? I just want to know that. That's just my question.
Yeah, and I honestly, also because I live under a rock, but was there a lot of marketing or was there any type of rollout? Because I was just
I had no
on.
clue. It's only because I was listening to Chance's album. So I think timing is smart
Yeah.
because the track is good on Chance's album, and he timed it like when that track is growing, and then he dropped his stuff. But I'm not in that news feed of rappers, but definitely not in Jay Electronica's world of news feed. So I had no clue. I just looked because I've been listening to just a drop for the last 48 hours incessantly.
Yeah, I just saw one Jay Electronica song on a random YouTube video, and then I listened to it, and I was like, "Oh wait, no, this is an old song." But I think he incorporated some previously released music in the new drops. I think, correct me in the comments, please. But then I just saw more music dropping and more music and more, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I thought it was maybe an unofficial channel, but then I checked. No, it's the official Jay Electronica YouTube channel." Just because you never know an artist's stances when it comes to dropping music and what was maybe holding them back before. Because I know he had deals, and I don't know what his situation was legally and what was maybe holding him back from just dropping music. But again, talking about, because you hear a lot of artists talk about limitations on dropping, and well, so and so doesn't drop, and well, you don't expect, Jay-Z hasn't dropped an album in forever. You're not Jay-Z. You're actually freer than every one of your favorite artists because you can do whatever you want because no one is stopping you. No one cares what you do, honestly, and that's what you see as a detriment is actually freedom. Yeah, you're right. No one cares, which means you can do whatever you want and people aren't going to care if you mess up or if your rollout isn't amazing. But every good release, every fan that you pick up, that's the positive. That's the silver lining. That's why you should do it. So I don't know. I get why it feels soul crushing to just release music and not have your project blow up, and maybe you're 5 years in and nothing's worked for you. But we talk about this all the time. Do the best practices, do everything you can. If it's still not working, all right, you gave it your best shot. Figure something else out. But
just release it on socials. I'm not even saying you gotta do the whole album artwork, whatever. Again, because the whole conversation started with Starline. Chance was dropping visuals of him literally just rapping to stuff he had recorded the night before or 2 nights before, just because he was getting it out. He wanted to remind people, hey guys, I'm Chance the rapper. I don't suck anymore. Or in fact, I never sucked. I just was in a phase. And I feel like that's what he was kind of like, yo. My name is Chance the rapper. I really rap. And I feel like this album is exemplary of that. But I think if you're an artist and you're kind of tired of the grind, get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like last night for me was that same thing. I got super tired of this industry grind. I got super tired of giving my all to artists and not getting nothing from it. I got out of it and somehow I ended up in an arena last night. I was on tour with McDonald's last year. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a McDonald's sponsored tour. I've been a part of Grammy projects, Dove, Stellar, like every BET in the last 2 years since I gotten out of the music industry, I've been a part of like more accolades, getting more. If you were tired of the bullshit of the consistency, just disrupt it. Still be consistent, but you don't have to flow with that same stream. Yeah. I just want to ask that question, like, what is, and that's what I'm saying, like, what is holding you back as a rapper? If you have a microphone, and there are free beats in the world, you can get 25 beats from Payne for like $3. No, I'm joking. Something similar. He has like all these packs you can just get. You can go on YouTube, whatever. As a rapper, why are you not releasing music? And I'm not talking about as to make money. I'm not talking about to blow up. As an artist, if you're a writer, write. If you're a reader, read. If you're a runner, run. Do you know what I'm saying? Like as somebody put here to speak, I speak, whatever medium that looks like it. I'm put here to communicate. So I communicate through my parties. I communicate through this podcast. I communicate when I go speak on panels. Like if that's what you're here to do, or at least right now, if that's one of your forms of expression, why are you not? I want this to be a challenge, especially considering what I talked about last week on the podcast when I was like, okay, moving into the colder months, stay connected, set a goal, and then have some accountability. If you're a rapper, rap. You know what I'm saying? And then everything else can figure itself out from there. But sometimes I think when I put together a cool project in my head, or I work on a project by myself for like a month, I get so hyped on the project. And I'm not talking about music projects. I'm like, just whatever projects I'm working on. I get so hyped just from doing it that I'm like, oh shit, this need to see the light of day. And I think that's what some people are losing touch with, the fact that they actually really love their craft, because they're thinking about, well, I got to get an album artwork done, and I got to get it mixed and mastered, and I got to put it out on DSPs. And then I got to tell Spotify 2 weeks ahead of time, this is the algorithmic playlist. Don't think like that. Like if you are a rapper, fucking rap.
And if you're a producer, make beats. Yeah, if you're a painter, paint.
Whatever you do, do your thing.
Yeah. So on that note, I think that's a good place to end. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back same time, same place. Send Dame some healing energy so he can get rid of that cough. I remember, I think I had COVID and was on this podcast just coughing up a storm. So I apologize for not pulling a Dame and just calling it quits. But this is for a week. But Dame is in his self-care era, and I certainly was not at that time. So I coughed my way through a podcast.
Is he in his self-care era? I feel like he's in the baby care era, which is probably why he's sick. He's not sleeping enough.
Is destroying his immune system probably, so that's why the cough is lingering. Poor Dame. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the MEC podcast. Peace.